Hi, Evensong family. It is so good to be with all of you tonight. I hope you've had a really incredible week. I miss seeing you, and I hope that you're doing well. We have some really awesome things still happening. You can see these Amazon boxes over here, all from you all. My living room is filled with boxes that are going to go to the safe space. So thank you so much for your generosity and donations. I am so excited every time I open a box and I see your names, and then get to send you all a little note saying thank you. So thanks so much for showing up for our community. We are hosting Family Promise in a couple weeks, and since we're not hosting them at the church, they're going to be in a motel. And the gift of that is that they've been in the same motel for a couple weeks instead of moving around, and you can still be a part of making Family Promise magic. And so ways that we're doing that is through Walmart gift cards for groceries, or laundry soap, or dish soap, or quarters. If you have a ton of quarters lying around, they would love quarters for laundry. And so thank you so much for making that happen and for helping those families during this really crazy time. The question tonight is, what is your favorite summer road trip? What is the best trip that you've ever been on? That could be as a child, that could be as an adult. And what I love is that when I was growing up, we always went to the Outer Banks, and that was the best, playing in those waves and in the sand for a week as a family. But for my kiddos now, we do a mystery adventure week, and so they never know what we're doing until we roll into our destination. And so 2 years ago, I put them in the car at 4 o'clock in the morning. We drove to the Badlands, and we slept in a teepee, and we hiked, and we looked at buffalo, and did all sorts of other really magical things. And then another year, every day was a different adventure. So we went paddleboarding, and we went camping, and we went mountain biking, and then we went to Utah. And so we have lots of adventures, but that is my favorite week of the year. I spend a lot of time thinking about how to make it special and how to make it really different every year. And so that's our favorite. I would love to hear your favorite in the comments. Please let me know how I can be cheering for you or praying for you. You can shoot me an email or a text, and I would love to catch up. If you need anything, please reach out. And Jason Snow is sharing tonight. It's going to be an incredible gift for you all. And I'll be back next week, and then we have a couple other people that'll be jumping in and out for you. And so I'm really excited for you to hear from them. I hope that you know how incredibly loved you are, how important you are, and how much you matter. We miss you so much, and we can't wait to see you again soon. Enjoy, Jason, friends.
Hi, Evensong friends. It's good to be with you again, even if it is another virtual session. I thought what I would do tonight is just share some of the recent experiences I've been having in the environment we're in, and some of the conclusions I made, with the hope that that will be useful to you as well. And I'll start with the story of, I shared with some of you recently. I reached a point a couple Saturdays ago where in my news feed, between the combination of virus news and racial tension and the responses to the tension, both protest and violence as well as political responses, really just got me to a point where I hit a wall and I couldn't take in anymore. And I shut my laptop down, and I've been thinking a lot about that experience and realizing just how fatigued we all are. And I don't think it's because of the time we spend on Zoom, and I don't think it's because we're, staying in our homes more. I think it's because 24/7 we are taking in constant changing information that affects us and our country, and our safety and our future. And it's exhausting to think 24/7 about recalibrating what we're seeing and what does it mean and how do we respond to it. And that's some of what I'm going to talk about tonight, is how we take it in and how we respond to it. But what I did was I hopped on my bicycle and took a Friday off and took a very long leisurely ride and had a great experience. It was exhausting in the sense of how long I rode and where I rode, but I experienced the beauty of nature, of riding past Hudson Gardens and seeing a beaver in the Platte River dragging a branch with green shoots on it to its dam. I had the experience of, I took a slightly different side road on a whim, but happened to go right past Urban Peak, which is the homeless shelter for young adults that our church supports, and saw a bunch of the young adults hanging out outside and listening to some music. Of course, I couldn't approach and become a part of it, given the safety considerations, but just seeing that, and for the first time seeing where our support goes and the effect it has, was really re-energizing. And then I kept riding, and the main streets were quiet enough given the environment that I just kept going on Lincoln for the first time. It has no bike lane, but traffic was pretty quiet. And if you think about where I was headed, I kept heading downtown on Lincoln and crossed Spear and realized what I might be heading towards. But I'll come back to that in a second. The first lesson I have is we have to recharge. we have to find ways to recuperate from all the fatigue and all the things that are bringing us down. And we can't end up in this tailspin of just negative, 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 because if we don't have the positivity for ourselves, we don't do ourselves any good, and we can't take any information well, and we can't be positive for others. And so that was my first takeaway for us all. The second thing that I learned, though, is we also have to control our input, and riding a bike is a metaphor for that. You control where you go, you control how fast you go, and I think that applies to our news and the conversation that we're having too. I pride myself on taking in a wide range of news sources and really thinking about issues. I also associate between family and friends with people on, I'm not going to say the spectrum, but with a broad range of perspectives. I've become very attuned to the racial issues that we're going through right now, and yet if I log into my Facebook, I also have family and friends who are cops, and I've also got family and friends who don't yet see things the same way that I do, and it makes us really think about how do we thoughtfully have that conversation. And I think one of the things that we can do is realize there are thoughtful sources that we can take in that help us understand how to provide the context and how to think about the context, and then how to influence others. I've honestly read things in the past that made me afraid to think I could interject myself into the racial debate that we have. I had some early experiences in college discussions where sometimes the attitude is if you don't understand, you shouldn't talk about it. In some cases, people even say you don't have the right to talk about it. And so I really celebrate the recent sermon that Reverend Mark and Reverend Akila had, where they had a thoughtful dialogue, and that's one of several things I've encountered recently that have helped me think about how can I thoughtfully understand different perspectives and then figure out what to do about it. And that leads to the rest of my bike story. So I was riding up Lincoln, and one of the neat things about being on a bike is you're going fast enough to see different things and take in a lot, but going slow enough you can see what's happening. And of course, this is during the day. I realized I was coming up where all the protests were, but I saw peaceful protesters. It was during the day, and a whole bunch of people lined up on the sidewalk right in front of the Capitol building, and they had signs, honk if you agree and honk if you support, and cars would honk and they would cheer. But being on a bike, you're going a little slower, and you can actually, in a sense, have an interaction. And I realized that all eyes were on me because there was time, and there was this moment of me taking in what the sign said and what they were asking for, and they could see me taking that in and realize what the protest was about. And when I just put my hand up as a show of support, there was this loud cheer from everyone there because I was the interaction that got some attention and could take some time. And make no mistake, I'm not the hero of this story. I was glad to have been a part of it, and I was glad to express even just a very trivial, singular show of support. But the heroes in that story are all the people who realized that their action made someone else think and reflect, and I did it visibly as I was reading signs, and then show a change or show a sign of support. So that was a really rewarding experience. I kept going, and then was pretty stunned to see the amount of after effects of what was happening in the evenings, the amount of graffiti on our Capitol building, on some of the nearby buildings, and it really made me think the whole way home about the situation that we're in. And I think that's probably my third conclusion is it's hard to understand how to influence where we are. But my conclusion has been contribute to the dialogue when and where you can. Some of us are still learning how to have this dialogue and learning the context. Other people are a lot further along and realizing they want action to happen. But my main takeaway is if we recharge ourselves and if we're thoughtful about the input that we get, then we can be ready to take action and influence individual conversations in the right way and at the right time. So in summary, takeaways, and John, you said it last week, and Rev Mark has been doing it recently too, but I will just say in my Type A workplace, one of our rules for our research team is never leave delivery of insights without some recommendations, so I'm consistent with that message too. One is recharge, we have permission to do so. 2 is control your input. Be thoughtful about what you take in and how you think about it. And 3rd is contribute to the dialogue when and where you can. It's good to have been a part of the process tonight. I enjoy so many other people contributing to the music and the messages. So hopefully I've shared something useful that's helpful for the group as well. Thanks, everyone.
God of boundless compassion, you create the human family in your divine image and endowed each person with dignity. Grant us your grace in eliminating the blight of racism from our hearts, from our communities, and from all earthly institutions. Fill our hearts with love for you and for our neighbor as we work together with you to heal our land from racial injustice. Amen.
Every day we go to work and we assume we know so much more than them before we hear what they have to say. Headline breaks and we start to hate again, calling them names again. We give our peace away. I hope they see